Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Royal News Network Saturday morning live stream. I hope you guys are all having a super fantastic and amazing Saturday because, oh my goodness, has this been a week? It's been a week. So, Meghan's disastrous relaunch, I think it's hard to even describe how awful the relaunch is. And so, it's just been an absolute epic train wreck. And yeah, it's not going well. I even saw some comments today going, "Oh, you're piling on Megan and everything." And I'm like, but she kind of left it open. Again, guys, I would like to say again, this was all avoidable with better brand management. This was totally an avoidable situation. It did not have to happen, but I think clearly some things went wrong somewhere in the process. And Megan wasn't listening to the people who could give her the decent advice. That is my thoughts here. So, yes, it's been a week. So, we will see how as ever goes. I don't have high hopes for it, to be quite honest. I don't think like it could do okay. It could do not so okay. And yeah, and I think we see still constantly the media continuing to turn against Harry and Meghan in general, and it's part again, it's because of them. It's like it's easy to rally behind somebody who's achieving something. It's hard to rally around when you're like I you pretty much everybody knows this is a massive train wreck and there are some, of course, people who will always say, "Oh, how wonderful and amazing the two of them are." But some of them are like, "Yeah, this is bad." So I feel like people are sort of wising up to Harry and Meghan in a lot of ways. And whether it's the bullying allegations again, or Harry's inability to deal with African parks and Meghan's disastrous brand rollout, whatever, they're, I think, rapidly losing supporters in many ways. And then we did have the case with Prince Harry, and it seems like some of his visa documents will be revealed. So I'm curious what those will end up being. And yeah, we shall see where things end up. But things aren't going particularly well for them this year. Has not been a good year for Harry and Meghan so far. But I want to say again, I feel like so much of this is just brought on themselves. So let's go ahead and get into here. We have a couple of super chats. We have Cheryl T in Oklahoma. Good morning, Brittany, Miss Pippin, Arna, and family. Goose, Vinny, Misty, and Foster's Fern and Otis say wolf, and Squeaky, her mouse, meow of indifference. King Charles III hosted Starmer and Reeves at Windsor recently. Don't think Queen Elizabeth did the same. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, they did a a joint thing recently in Cornwall. And so King Charles showed off some of the housing developments that he helped start. And apparently it's influenced Starmer to do his own thing. So we shall see how that goes. Although I have mixed feelings about where the government is going to go there in the UK because I don't think people are super happy with Starmer. So we shall see. John Masood, thank you so much for the super chat this morning. Dear Brittany, I'm fully 100% convinced Meghan suffers from Dunning-Kruger effect, where she's incapable of understanding how badly she screws things up. Have you looked into the Dunning-Kruger effect? I have not, but that does sound very interesting. I mean, to me, it goes back to her sort of being a narcissist and everything, but she just seems incapable of realizing like this was a mistake. And it's not like, I mean, this is just so obvious and is so avoidable. That's the thing that gets me. And I'm like, this is 100% avoidable. Like, how did she had to know. She had to know because she was looking for the Instagram handles. She had to know as ever was already taken. She had to know. So and she had to see the other businesses, as ever photography, as ever NYC. She had to know. And I think many people are saying, and I think it's true, NYC as ever might have a pretty good case because there's something called like common law. And I've heard this as well as like, if you're using a trademark, if you're using a name for a period of time and you've set up basically, you have that market share. Yes, you still need to trademark at some point, but generally you would consider like common law that you would actually essentially have that name and information. So I don't know if as ever NYC has, I don't think they've filed a trademark, but they could definitely sue her over that and damaging their business. Oh yeah, I think they could. And it sounds like to me that they're definitely pursuing their options. And American Riviera Orchard was at least better because it was still a terrible name, but at least it was somewhat more unique. Not totally, because there was American Riviera Bank. So I always felt like she saw the bank and she stole the name for that. But Um, there's just so many things here that just don't make a ton of sense. And these are mistakes that are so avoidable. Like her explaining in the video, oh, I had to um, change the trademark because it was too geographically constricting, the one she originally had for American Riviera Orchard. I'm like, but it was always that. Like any trademark person would have told you that. I even have an article somewhere where it says and talks about that. And so it's like, are you lying? Are you lying? We all know the difference. Oh, and I do have to apologize. I was a little late this morning. Miss Pippa has been having some tummy troubles, so we had to deal with that this morning. So, Teacher Ray Samantha, I love the video about the crowns and tiaras. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Thank you. So, Stephen Magnus, thank you so much for the super set. Says that the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has been paid $89,850 for Meghan's 23 trademarks. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's hysterical. That's hysterical. So, what that tells me is that she's constantly filing trademarks for things like she's kind of like so you have Harry and his court cases and Meghan and her trademarks. So they're both kind of go like I feel like both the lawyers in those cases are just telling him, "Yeah, go for it," when they don't really have a case and they know it. So it's just like yeah, like the amount of waste there is insane. So that is hysterical though. That's so funny. That's so funny. So let's get started here. And if you had some before 9:57, I'm not seeing them in the chat here because sometimes they get here quite early. Azima says, hi, everyone. So does Elizabeth. Diane says, it's a relaxing Saturday morning here in New Hampshire. I saw Shaddis and Ritz as well. And Caroline Lane. Hi, Brittany and everyone. Hope everybody had a great week. We have Anna Malian. We have Millie and then Carol here as well. Margaret, Coco's mom, Debbie, Water, 8604. We got K Coffee and Athena Temple. Hi from Northern Ireland. Hope everyone is well. Dia says, boy, do we have a plethora of mega news to discuss this week. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Lots of mega news. And again, I just don't understand. How did she do this to herself? I don't understand. Like, seriously, she has the best people in the world. How is she making these like absolute amateur level mistakes? Like, these are amateur level mistakes. I should probably keep an eye out too. I kind of keep an eye out on both her Instagram and the new one to see if anything pops up. Something might pop up early today. I'm just curious. And nothing except for drizzling honey. And nothing but the most boring mood board I can possibly imagine. I like how somebody said basically it's like a mood board for Meghan about Meghan to encourage Meghan and inspire Meghan. Yeah, it's all about Meghan. Christina says, hi, everyone from Maryland. Who thinks Meghan is stuck at a 12-year-old girl 2 years older than her and mood boards were something we did in middle school? Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, I want to say it was, I think it's more like manifest boards anymore, but like looks like a mood board. And hers is, let's see, I had just actually pulled it up here just for a second. So just as a reminder to everyone, I didn't even post this on X because it was so banal. So it's like these are such basic things that it's boring. Like she clipped out pieces from her website, the TIG way back in the day to encourage her, I guess, and then clipped out pictures from her old Instagram. Tell me without telling me you're obsessed with Instagram and yourself. And then we have the as ever here, and she has like the cloth to go on top of the jam and stuff. I mean, imagine how much, again, I went back to this and I talked about this in like the original discussion on the jam, but how expensive is that dumb little cloth and how pointless is it? It's totally unnecessary. It's just a superfluous thing. It's maybe glams it up a smidge, but at the end of the day, it's sort of a waste of money. Anyways, so like all this stuff is just so boring and basic and dull. Like farm fresh eggs, carrots 2 ways, sweet treats in her fancy cursive. I'm like, why? Why are you so boring, Meghan Markle? I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, how can you have like all the resources in the world and squander it? But this is why people continue to talk about her, not because they're super excited about her, but because It is like one of these age-old mysteries. How did somebody give up everything? Like the best opportunity in the world to go back to exactly what they were doing. It's not impressive. It's not impressive. MJ Clark said, "Good morning from New Jersey. Do you think this one will stick or will be just like Arrow?" I think it might have to change, honestly. I would say for the clothing company, especially if they're just going to be crushed by her, is in the like because it's like Google search analytics and stuff like that. That's what they're really looking for. So when you search as ever now, you'll come up with her stuff and not their stuff. And they had the name first. They were using the name for years. Common law states they might have the rights to the name. And she apparently is incapable of being creative in the slightest. Like, it's not even a good name. And the logo doesn't go with the name. It's dumb. It's dumb. So I think that it's going to I think she might have to change it again. And if she has to change it again, she's screwed. Or she's gonna have to settle with this other guy and give him a boatload of money or something like that. That's what she's probably going to end up having to do. I would hope he's able to legally challenge her because I just think they need a bit of humble pie and she needs to face the consequences for some terrible decisions. Again, guys, I don't understand. When I established World News Network, and I know sometimes people say, talk too much about like my business, but it's like it's what I've experienced, it's what I really know. So I feel more comfortable talking about it. I went through and nobody else had Royal News Network. So when you Google Royal News Network, you come up with me. Like I have all the social medias, I have like everything. And I grabbed them all even before I was posting content on all of them, just so I had them. It's not that hard. All right. So we have Stephen again. Thank you so much for the super chat. Megan's 27th Delaware registered company as ever enterprises September 2024. There's also another company, Archie Products Inc. Yeah, she can't stop filing for companies. And here's the thing, when it comes to like producing TV shows and movies, they're technically like a corporate company. That's sort of how they run. But like she keeps filing trademarks and companies left and right, and things continue to fall apart. She needs to build one thing. Build one thing, and then you can start moving on to other things. They can't build it. She has Mama Knows LLC, As Ever LLC. Now, what's interesting about having the second As Ever is number one, Harry's probably not on it, although he shouldn't be on the Mama Knows Best too, or otherwise he really is. I mean, he's a beta male who's totally dominated by his wife, let's be honest. So Mama Knows Best. Oh, that's yeah, not a great name. But we just have a lot of chaos here. It's kind of crazy. But she needs to stop filing for different company names and just actually really build a company. Stop trying to make different companies. Just focus on one. Make sure you got the right name. Yes, this is going to take time. Because the thing is, guys, again, and I think I mentioned in this video or I mentioned in the live stream, I can't remember which one. Anyways, what is really going to be difficult for her right now is that she's rushed everything. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to guarantee you the products have been rushed too. If you rush products, you don't probably have good quality control because you're just so desperate to get things out. You're skipping things in order to get things to the market. So I would bet you she'll have issues somewhere with one or more of the products because she didn't take the time. She was too rushed. And as a result, she's going to have issues. That's my thought. Crystal says that the true William is to be tested for cancer from his days in the military. I have not heard that, but you know, once you hit 40, you know, the cancer treatments they start or cancer testing is something that starts to happen. Michelle says, good afternoon from London. Hope you're well. And also, I think that tends to be more from people who were in the military in combat in those particular areas. William was never in combat. So he was not in Afghanistan or Iraq for significant periods of time. And I think that's where some of the issues lie. So I can't imagine he would be too exposed. Lola La says, hello from Sweden. I'm so sorry I can't read the chat and listen to Brittany in the same time. I'm happy to be here today. Run away. How we feel in Europe. Please pray for Ukraine in Europe. Thank you. Yes, will do. Katie says, legally, do they have to delay the show again with the trademark issue and still not resolved? No, they're going to have to go through it. They can't delay it again. To delay it again would be ridiculous. And yeah, she's going to have problems. She's going to have problems. She might have to redo the logo, redo the name again. And she should eat that cost because that's just sheer stupidity. I'm sure she's eaten the cost of maybe producing stuff like American Riviera Orchard Jam and then not being able to finish it, and then she has to redo it. But of course, we saw the label as she showed in the Instagram here. It's all the way down here, this as ever. So again, see, we're going to have the logo on the little lid thing. And so there is no one of whatever, guys. So we're not special. And that's what was so stupid about Meghan showing her special celebrities friends getting, 7 of 50 or whatever, is that it shows that she gives certain people certain things and not certain people other things. And also, got to say again, this apparently is like something a content creator made that Meghan reached out and like commissioned more of. I just find it really weird that Meghan, who apparently doesn't like social media, allegedly, was found fan art of herself and was decided, oh yeah, I need this person to give me that and give me more. It's weird. Cause Coco's mom said, yes, she's definitely stuck in the 90s. Yeah, she's definitely, I think, stuck in middle school, high school. It's like that's her emotional intelligence level. And that's honestly, that extends to her fans too. Her most diehard fans, like their initial reactions are not to engage in healthy debate, but mostly just to name call. That is called like juvenile behavior. If you're doing that, you're a juvenile. That's the only way to put it. And you do that because you have no other recourse because you can't actually argue. You can't actually argue. And so you just have to name call because it's all they can do. So Melanie Rose says, you always have such interesting insights and theories. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. I try to keep it fresh. So this is why, guys, I don't listen to even though I used to, I don't listen to other royal channels anymore. Kate says, hey, from Alabama. Caroline says, Cheryl T, that's a lovely big fur baby you have. Aw. Betty Gosnell says, good morning from Oklahoma. Ritz says, she still cannot get over the face that she makes that she thinks she's to be admired by everyone. The delusion is out of control, and I cannot get that mocking curtsy out of my mind. Another fail. Yeah, she's trying so hard to be likable that she's not likable in the process. It's so easy. She can't be herself. She doesn't like herself. That's the honest truth. Even though she's a narcissist, even though she loves herself, she also really doesn't like herself and is massively insecure about it. So she can't be real. And real is what sells. Authenticity is what sells in this space anymore. And so her trying to be, the perfect Meghan, like we all know it's fake. And then she goes on and she lies about things. Now, can I say 100% like pretty much yeah. So when it comes to like when she filed for that company, September 2024, when did that happen? When her trademark logo was rejected and she got more rejection from the US Trademark Office. That's when she changed. She goes, oh, it was too geographically limiting. Doesn't matter. Like you could still make it work even if it's somewhat geographically limiting. But no, sorry, I'm going to use a little less. She couldn't get the trademark. And so she had to let it go. And that's so obvious, and we all know it because it all played out in the press, and then she goes on and she lies about it when she could just do the easy thing and make herself honestly more likable and just tell the truth. Like, all she had to do was go on there, and you could still massage it going, "I tried to get this trademark. I really thought it would work, but after a lot of legal wrangling and stuff, it's just not gonna happen." And so I feel unfortunate about that. I'm so sorry I had you guys invest in a name and a brand that I couldn't bring to fruition. So I'm going to move to this other one instead that I thought about in 2022, share the story, but she doesn't do that. She still has to lie about it. And that's not massaging it because we all know the truth. Massaging it is when we know the truth and you have to massage what the truth is. We know the truth, and she actually told us something different, which was still somewhat true, but not the actual truth of the situation. Zeba, thank you so much for the super chat this morning. She could have combined the kids' names and called the company Lurch, but her Adam's family objected. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I think there's a million other options she could have gone down, except for like if the name isn't even good. She's not really good at naming things. I think it would have been better just to go back to the tag for Pete's sakes. Like, cause yeah, you're just doing that again. So why not like do that? I don't understand. I don't understand. And I just think It's just so sad that she apparently is so, like, s oh goodness. It just so stinks at this. Like, there's just no other way around it. She stinks at this. She must think she's good, or somebody must tell her she's good, because man alive, is she not good at this? And these poor staff members, I'm sure, who have told her ad nauseum that, "Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that," and she ignores them. Ugh. All right, to DS, thank you so much for the super chat this morning. Why in the world is her jam being sold at the Galleria in Texas? Yes, it's a nice mall, but I lived in Texas for 20 years. Most of us know how to make jam. So just going to be because there's two Netflix locations, and so these are not just stores; they're like quote unquote experiences, and they're interactive, immersive type of things. So Megan stuff is going to be sold there in part. I don't know when they're supposed to open. I'm on the email list to hopefully find out when. But yeah, they're supposed to open sometime in 2025. They don't even tell us a season, just sometime in 2025. And if it's like a couple months after the show ends, nobody will care. Because again, the model for Netflix is they drag and drop. So they drag out the show and then they drop it all at once. And so you as the audience can binge it and then you're done. I can watch Megan's whole show in probably a couple hours. I think every episode's like 30 minutes. I can watch it in about 4 hours, get a review out, and then I'm done. Although depending on how, let's say, good or bad it is, it could be several videos. Let's be quite honest. But it's going to be a drag and drop type thing. So that's going to be sort of something where if the show doesn't have longevity, which I doubt it will, then if it takes a couple of months for her to get, or even a month for her to get to products to market after the show, she's going to have a tougher time selling. So she has to be ready to go on the 4th. If she's not ready to go on the 4th, she is screwed. But she also wasn't ready to go by Christmas time, when she should have been. So I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, so yeah, the malls, that's where it's going to be. And so I am looking, like, kind of wanted to go down there. Maybe, just because I'm more thinking about, I could do and check out other shows I do like, hopefully that are represented there. And I wanted to go to Houston to see the Fabergé tiara. So yeah, we shall see. But yeah, like the thing that's dumb about jam, and guys, and I go back to this all the time because it's so simple. And this is the jam I made. You can make it or you can buy it. This is jam I bought at the store. This is jam I made. Both of these cost a couple bucks in reality, because I just had to buy the jar, the strawberries, the sugar, and the pectin. That's all I needed for this. And this is, like $3 or $4, probably more like 4 because it's a bit of a nicer jam. So that's all these took. And so I don't understand how or why she wants us to pay a premium for her jam. It's an unoriginal product. It's one that, like, recipe literally has not changed for 100 years. And so you can go into the store and buy the exact same thing. You can buy the exact same ingredients and you can make the exact same thing that's different than her. That's like probably the same as hers for cheap. I don't know why she expects people to buy her jam. That's a dumb product. It's just simply a dumb product to start off with, because there's nothing unique or proprietary about it. Nothing unique or proprietary. You have to have something that grabs people's attention, and jam is not it. We're talking about it just for the absurdity of it. But am I going to buy her jam when I can make my own? No. All right, we have Roberto Palisas, Tig Royal. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, that is not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. No, no, because, like, again, the Tig makes more sense to me, because at least it sort of goes with what she's done before. And it's a name nobody else had, as far as I'm aware. Somebody said somebody did have it, but it's less of a used name. So I was like, well, that makes more sense. But of course, she goes with a name that it's like a signature off, but it's also just like, yeah, not a good name. Shaz says, why did she get it wrong? Hey, y'all. Why does she always get it wrong? Hey, y'all. And thank you so much, Shaz, for being a member. And yeah, I don't know why she always gets it wrong. I'm like so incredibly confused because she has all the resources in the world, guys, to get it right. That's the thing. Steven, the 2 times the TIG trademarks are still pending for 2022. She should have just finished them and just gotten it. Might as well, right? So I don't know. Yeah, cuz yeah, there was a report. So yeah, I mean, guys, the thing is that yes, you might have an idea and it might take you a while to formulate the name, but what I think disturbs me a bit is that Meghan Markle changed names not just a little bit, but completely changed everything about the branding, about the name. And I mean, she's keeping somewhat of what she's doing the same. And it's like you kind of just dropped everything and acted like nothing was different and just went on with the same stuff. And I just can't help but think of is I mean, I think she might have changed the look of the brand a little bit. Maybe it's going a little bit more on with the whimsy side, but it just seems kind of weird to me that she's just dropping and changing as if nothing is wrong. It's I find it very strange. All right, to Chris Overby. Hi, Chris. Arctic Circle hugs from Sweden. Wish Anna Lucia would deliver to Europe. I'm so sorry, Chris, that they don't, but yeah, I hope you're doing well there in the Arctic Circle. Are you like all the way up there? Oh my goodness, that's so high up and so cold. I like we've had cold weather this week and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not a cold weather girl." Not a cold weather girl, so I'm like, yeah, definitely done." So, hopefully I'm kind of like we had like this like warm weather bit for a while and I'm like, "Oh my gosh. It's like spring is here already. It's like almost too early. I want a little bit of a colder weather." Then we got real cold and then I'm like, "I don't want this." So, all right, we got Melanie Rose on my way to do Saturday grocery shopping while waiting for my favorite show to begin. I'm so glad. Diane says, "Yay, it's time for Brittany to pop on." Yes. John says, "Thanks, Melanie, so much more than just another sexy font." Aw. Joe Anger Bread says, "Good morning, Brittany, Miss Pippa, everyone from at RNN from San Ramon, California. Hello." We got Chantal. Hello, everyone from the Netherlands. Laura. Good morning, Brittany and Wolf Wolf. To Miss Pippa from Dooku and Amy. All right, we got Marjorie. Hi, all. I'm beginning to think she goes for the controversy as it generates so much media. Let's be real. Megan certainly does like to do the most. I mean, it's true. She is generating media buzz, but the thing is, guys, I always come back to is that I think they generate a lot of this buzz, a lot of this talk. But what happens is, and we see this sort of time and time again, none of that turns into like dollars as much as you think it would. None of it turns into like money. And so, at least for them, I feel like it's making content creators in the media money, not really them money though. And that's, I think, sometimes why companies are like, "Oh yeah, we'll sign with Harry and Meghan." They're in the news all the time. Yeah, but that's all they're in. Nobody really wants to watch their shows. Netflix knows this better than anybody else, by the way. Because yes, the Harry and Meghan, the television show did make money, but nothing else did. Jamie, good morning from Virginia. Margaret says, "Why are Starmer and Reeves? Who are Starmer and Reeves? Please excuse my ignorance. They're both politicians. I know. Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister of the UK. Azima says, as ever, Megan seems to be mad at naming a company. Bad at naming a company. Yes, she is always bad. She's always bad. She's always bad at it. I don't understand." Jess says, "Good morning, everyone." Carol says, "I just wonder, was that time her narcissism kicked in? That's why she's not grown up." Maybe, but she does just seem really, really stuck there. And she tends to attract people who seem to be either stuck there or kind of have that mentality too. Asma says, "As ever, will never be approved as a trademark. It's used too much already." Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs, but yeah, I think she's gonna have a really, really tough time with it. And I think she's gonna get a lot of clap back. And I think it's never a good look to be trampling over another company, especially when she claims to stand up for the little guy and then she crushes the little guy. It's not a good look. Maria says hello from Worthing, England. And we got Azima says, "What has Harry done now?" Not too much, but we will know more about his visa. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Patricia says, good morning, everyone. Brittany, do you think she's just making landing pages to harvest information to sell? Do you think Nacho new connection to Tyndall is suspicious? So I wouldn't say no, but I would say when it comes to the landing pages, here's the thing, guys. Yes, she can sell some of those emails, but that's not going to make her a ton of money at the end of the day. What she wants is people to buy products so she can make more money. She's all about the money. If you look at everything, it's always all about the money. So for her, she really wants to try to make this work. She wants to try to make something work. I don't know what it is, but she wants to try and make it work. And what she comes to is just problem after problem, issue after issue. Because the reality is, I think if you're really passionate about something and you have a good vision for it. Now, vision isn't everything, but like if you look at the really successful companies, the person in the front has a big vision and they're driving it. And yes, they're taking input and stuff like that, but they're really the ones driving it. If you run everything by committee, you're going to run into the ground at some point. You have to have somebody with a clear vision going, I want to do X. And then everybody formulates around that vision to help them do X. So I think that the biggest problem for Meghan is that she does not have that overarching vision. And we see this in the constant name changing, the multiple companies, the like all these sorts of things. And she's doing that because she has no vision for except that I want to make money. So in order for her to quote unquote make money, she's like, I need a company to do X. But it doesn't matter what its name is, doesn't matter what it sells to a certain extent. Although I need to be somewhat invested in it, but I need to have all these things together because then I can make money. And I feel like that becomes a bit of the issue. Now, she could always prove us wrong, of course, but yeah, I think that's what she's always driving towards is the money aspect of it. And as a result, she doesn't have a bigger like look at what the company is. And I think that's what's sort of killing it because she's acting like nothing's changing and she's just bopping around from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. And it's confusing for the audience, her potential consumers, which you don't want to do. You want to be very clear where you stand on things. That way the consumers can buy into the vision. And yes, this is more kind of insider baseball and some things people don't think about because they're like, oh, I need a DVD player. This place sells a DVD player. You know, I get a Sony one or I get a Samsung one, whatever. Doesn't matter. But I think when it comes to something like this type of business in particular, you need to have somebody who has somewhat a bigger vision for what they want to do. And because of that, they're able to do sort of, you could say, different things that at the end of the day make everything kind of sort of work. If you don't have everything kind of sort of working, it just doesn't totally work. Doesn't totally work. And it's just kind of going by the wayside. So guys, funny little bit here. So I went to Emmy London because they're having a sample sale. So one of Catherine's favorite shoe companies, they're having a sample sale on right now. So you can get some good deals. And I was looking at some of their stuff and like I put some things like in the, like, you know, you put some things in the basket and then you kind of look and see, you know, what you want and what you don't want. And I put a couple things in the basket and I took them out and they send me an email for every single one of those items. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 emails that they sent me. 9. So Emmy London, I know you're not watching, but if you are watching, please stop doing that. That's not a great way to run the business. You should send an email with everything listed one time, not 9 times, just one time or not at all. Just pointing that out there. All right. And Abe, thank you so much for the super chat here. Brittany, if you were advising Meghan what we suggest for her to do, good morning from Virginia. So I think my suggestion to her would be really quite simple. Number one is like, don't start anything until you're really sure what you want from it and what it should be. And you need to do your research. And if her trademark attorney isn't doing the research he needs to do for her, then she needs to do it herself. So she needs to go online and look, can she grab every single social media handle for that without sort of not only anybody knowing, but can she grab the full thing the way she wants it without having to compromise anything? That's number one. Number two, is it easy to remember and does it make sense? I mean, basically all her brands fail on that level. And I would suggest for her to like really commit to what persona she's going to do. So I think Bethany Frankel was very right. I kept calling her Markle at the beginning of the video and I kept having to cut it out because I was like, oh crap, she's not Markle, she's Frankel. Anyways, that one of Meghan's sort of big problems is that she doesn't know, she's trying so hard to please everyone, she ends up pleasing no one. It's like, commit to who you are. Stop with the fake nonsense. Give that up. It's not working. We're not buying it anymore. Like, she keeps trying the same thing and it's working on fewer and fewer people every time. She needs to adjust. And I don't know if she can do that because she's a bit of a narcissist. She doesn't think she's ever wrong, but she is wrong. I mean, I would argue Meghan is wrong on a lot of things. And she could do so much better, I think, with her business if she was just true to herself. Just trying to be so, I don't know if sanctimonious is the right word, but stop trying to do the things you're trying to do and just go and be yourself and embrace who you are. And if you don't know who that is, then have some people help you figure out who that is. That's the best way to go about it. Because you have to have a strong sense of yourself. You have to have a strong vision. And she has none of those things. And so the thing is, if you're the leader of the company and you don't buy into the vision, nobody else is going to buy into the vision as well. You notice some people might take a lower paycheck because they really like the vision of the company and they like the visionary at the top. You need to have that vision. You really do. You really do. Because once things go sort of to committee and kind of get diluted over time, and there's nobody to really cast a vision, things just tend to stay at stasis or decline because there's nobody like really pushing things who has like, I want to do X. Because I've actually had this at two different companies. One company I worked at, strong visionary, still the guy who was leading the company originally. And he was very much able to sort of, I don't want to say steamroll because that's not the right word, but he's very much, he has a vision. He has people who can execute his vision. He's very clear about it. And, he's probably going to retire here before too long, but it's very clear where he's going to go. And you can like him or dislike him, but he's very clear where he stands on things. And then I had another company and it was the person who had taken over from the previous leader. And he was just sort of wishy-washy, not really committing either way and just kind of wanted the things to go as they are. And you felt it in the company. You felt it in the company that there wasn't sort of this drive of people who were anxious to enact the vision. There were people who were just like, I have this job. I don't want to change my job. And I'm just going to do my job until I retire. So I've seen both sides. And I would suggest 100% vision is huge here. And Meghan needs to treat her staff better, of course, as well. 150% treat her staff better. And I would honestly say she needs to like move somewhere else. That would be my suggestion because we all know she's in California because she wants to be famous and in Hollywood. And so she kind of stays there. It's like she needs to think beyond herself, which I think is really hard for her. So I don't know if that advice is any at all helpful, but she needs to, I mean, I think the biggest thing is she needs to let go of the reins of the company and give it to somebody competent who can do it because she is not competent to do this. She's just not. She would have been told no multiple times. She has to live in a world where people tell her no. That is a good thing. You need people to critique you and edit for you. Like you need that. Otherwise, you're just going to think you're the greatest and you're not. And then you're going to end up in messes like this. This was a totally avoidable mess. Totally avoidable. If she had listened to people who I'm sure told her the truth many, many times. All right. So I hope that helps. And so Steven says from Jar, everyone takes their cut. What's hers? Yes. So my thought has always been is that she will, cuts will be taken. Netflix will take a cut. If they're her partner, they will take a royalty. And if I was them, I would take a royalty in perpetuity and trying to recoup some of the costs that they wasted on them, to be quite honest. Because they wasted a lot of money on Harry and Meghan. I think they spent a lot for all their documentaries and they were crummy. They were crummy. And they only had one that was the success that everybody knew it would be, which is talking about the royal family. The only thing that has truly made them money is ragging on the royals. They have not, to their own detriment, made it clear where they stand without the royals. Asma says the Heritage Foundation won. They did. Caroline says, hi, Asma. You would have thought she would have done a basic Google search at the minimum. After the ARO debacle, you would think. Yeah. Betty says, hi, Diane. Chantel says, Brittany, I saw your excellent post on identity crisis, except I have no idea who Bethany Frankel is. I have no social media account, so I missed the context. So the context is that Bethany Frankel was on the Real Housewives of New York, which is sort of a reality TV show where, it's sort of about catty women, to be quite honest. Meghan would do well on that. I think that is about Meghan's level. Anyways, she created a company called Skinny Girl Margaritas and stuff. And I think she sold it. So she's actually quite wealthy. Let's see how much. She kind of gets in controversy every once in a while. So she's kind of somebody who I think, she's, hit and miss with people. She has an estimated net worth of 80 million apparently. And so, yeah, and she made it like self-made. So she's definitely somebody who can talk about that. And that's why I liked her comments, especially on like, I didn't let I want to say it was a manufacturer, but I could be wrong, or some guy in a business office or something, tell her what to do. And you need to have people who give you information, of course, but I think it's 100% true. If you are a business and you let other people constantly lead you by the nose, telling you what they think the market wants, or I have a different vision of something that the market doesn't know it wants yet, but it will when I show it. You need those people do exist, and those people make changes happen. Just saying. So, Roberto, thank you so much for the super chat. Better idea. Tig X Royal. Love you, Brittany. Why, thank you. Right, thank you. Yeah, I feel that. Tig X Royal. I mean, I think Tig and I think Tigger. That almost goes more than that. T-I double gut that spells Tigger. So yeah. Yeah. Very, very sweet though. Yeah. It's a good idea. We got Missy Lulu here. We have Gretchen the second. Good morning from cold Philadelphia. And Gretchen the first. Gretchen the first and second, both in the house. We have Cindy as well. Carol, Meghan was so spoiled by her dad. She thought her way was the only way. Yeah. And spoiling personality, stuff like that, all that comes together. We got Esther here, Desert Mermaid, Eva, Margaret. We got Seabass. Perna Praised Godad. Hello. And we got Coco's mom again. All right, we got Carol. There is 2 trademark applications at the trademark office. One is for the trademark as ever, and the other is for the international registration. Yeah, she might get these, she might not. Now, I will say when I was surprised to find out when it came to Blake Lively that she didn't actually file the trademarks until right before her hair company went live, because I thought that would be an interesting comparison. So because of that, I thought sort of Meghan's maybe not quite as out there as I thought, but at the same time, I imagine Blake did everything, made sure there were no competing names, no competing trademarks, no competing logos, anything like that. And I think she'll get it pretty easily for her hair care line, because I imagine they did their due diligence. Meghan's people either don't do their due diligence or can't tell her no. She needs people who can tell her no. To have people who can't tell you no is crazy pants to me. All right, we have Creative Chaosified. Good morning, afternoon from Poland. Hello, we got Terry. Azuma says, when someone is bad, a business person, they should be held accountable. Yes, at some point, in theory, Meghan should live with the consequences of her decision. We got Kimberly. Good morning, chat. Hey, Brittany and Pippa. Inspiring So says, a news outlet, not sure which, commented that Meghan was undignified. I think this is her prime problem. People who want to look up to royals and celebrities, they want to see someone who is a better person. Yes, I do agree with that. And sort of what happens too is there has been this massive shift. Brett Cooper talked about it as well, is that people just aren't as impressed by celebrities anymore. And really, royalty has become sort of the golden age of Hollywood standard, where there's an air of mystery. They show their best faces. We don't always see their bad faces, which is fine. I think, and not that they're lying or hiding it. They're just trying to be professional at all times. Whereas now we have celebrities who are, singing as Imagine on social media in their $1 million mansions, telling us how we should all be so enthused and stuff. Like, really, it was COVID who I think totally blew the lid off of the fact that most celebrities were but dingbats and not really people we should look up to. So because of that, I think there has been a general decline in interest in celebrities, and Harry and Meghan have now attached themselves to that. But the unfortunate thing too is they've attached the royal family by extension to that. So, yeah. We got AV hello from Portugal. We got Ritz. Eh, know it all narcs are always right, no matter what, no matter who, no matter what is said. Yeah, but she would just I just have that so hard to imagine because I guess I'm so analytical because I'm like, well, how did I do that wrong? Because there's definitely mistakes I've made, guys, in my professional life that I like wish I had done that better. I wish I could have taken that back. And yeah. So I don't know. So that's the only way you do better. All right. DS says, help. I cannot get jam. Is my jam out of my head? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. All right, almost empty nester. Thank you so much for the super chat. That whatever Meghan wants, Meghan gets is Meghan's rule one at the office. Shaking my head. Yep, and that's why she's failing. That's why she's failing. Like there's like no other way to look at it. There's no other way. There's no other way to look at it. She wants her way all the time, and she hires people who let her get her way, and the result is calamitous every single time, pretty much. They've hardly succeeded post Mexit. They've hardly succeeded. The book was a bad idea. The show was a bad idea. The interview was a bad idea. Pretty much everything has been a bad idea. They can't get out of it. And yeah. Azima says deal with the African Parks scandal, Harry. Yes. I think honestly that is what actually really ticked Jack Royston off was that because I've noticed he did quite a few articles about that. I think his kind of turning on Harry and Meghan, that was his catalyst. I think every journalist you'll probably see a different catalyst, but that was his. And he's like, why aren't you doing anything? You say you claim to stand up for the small guys. Why aren't you doing anything about this? You should be doing something about this. And Harry's just laissez-faire, acting as if nothing is wrong. Looks bad. All right. Marjorie says all Meghan had to do was admit Arrow had issues and say that she was starting over with a new brand name. But again, Meghan could not admit she was wrong. Standard Meghan, blaming everybody else but yourself. Exactly. Because I'm sure, again, she was told that American Riviera Orchard would be geographically limiting. Like, I read that ad, which I cannot get off their stinking email list. I unsubscribed from like multiple emails and still can't fully get off the list, which I find very, very annoying. But there was an ad company and they had chosen one of my tweets to sort of highlight. And there was not an ad company, but like an ad magazine, like a trade publication. And so they were talking about it. And they're talking about, yeah, it was geographically limiting. And it is. But that was not the actual problem. So we have Kimberly B. People generally like you to be generally have to like you to want to be associated with you in any way, shape, or form. Exactly. She's just generally not liked. And she can switch that around, but that's going to take a lot of soul searching and a lot of changing of her behavior and attitude towards things, I think, to make that happen. We have Stepanka. Hi from Poland, Czech Republic here. Hi, Poland, Czech Republic here. Okay. Ritz says cooking, crafting, gardening, grifting, all my jams. Yep. Perna praised Prasad says, how are you? Heart flower. I'm good. I'm good. Liz E says, good morning from Wisconsin. Kay Johnson, yay, another live. Love it. Yes. Maine coast, morning all from cold and sunny Maine. Christian the first says, morning all from cold Massachusetts. Thank goodness for coffee, hot coffee, and RNN. We got Rose here. We got Linda. We got DG. What is the likes versus dislikes on her announcement? Good morning. So you can't see likes versus dislikes. There's no dislike button on Instagram, which is why Meghan likes it. Because she doesn't want anybody to tell her no, and she doesn't want to get any clapback for anything she does. So she can't take the criticism. So that's why she's on Instagram. There's been talk of Instagram getting a dislike button, but it's actually on the comments, not on the posts themselves, which I think is kind of like, I think sometimes you need to be told, you need to be able to see dislikes. People need to be able to dislike things. I think that's healthy. I think that's healthy sometimes. You need feedback. The thing is, she does not want any feedback. She doesn't want any feedback. You guys don't know. So this is Maverick, our dog we lost last year, our family dog. And so my dad did it for our other dog. He had an artist do a sort of, it wasn't a watercolor, or was it maybe chalk, something like that. Um, Picture of, like, taking multitude pictures of our dog and putting it on a thing. Well, he did that again for our family for Mr. Maverick. So we have 2 dog pictures now since they went to doggy heaven, and all because he was known for his wild sleeping styles. So that was the first time I think I've used that. But yeah, he was our sweet boy, our sweet Mavericks. DS says, at this point, most of us know Meghan doesn't give a rip about faked and failed lifestyle. What she really wants is fame and fortune at any cost. Exactly. Which is why I think this is failing. If she truly loved this, she would really want it to succeed. That's the thing. And so she would do everything in her power to make sure it was perfect. But she doesn't really believe in it. And so she bumbles. Maria from Cyprus. Oh, you are going to have a state visit coming up soon, King Wilhelm Alexander, Queen Maxima shall be in your country. Heather says, my cats, Birdie and Ruthie, say meow to Miss Pippa. Miss Pippa gives a woof woof from downstairs. Asima says, Buckingham Palace is closed for 2 years. That's why. Yeah, so Buckingham Palace is undergoing massive renovations. So, yeah, they won't be hosting state visits there. But Maria says, go get a Miss Pippa. She's always happy to let the neighbors know that they are not allowed to be near our house without her permission. Asma says, we are not happy with Starmer. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are. Caroline Lane says, Sylvia G, I would add drinking in to huge. Miss K says, Brittany, I honestly don't understand how Netflix is putting up with this trademark. Hell, they are $1 billion company, and this sheds most of the most unfavorable light on them. It honestly does. For her to be in that video and go, oh, Netflix is my partner, you got to go. Netflix is like, oh, please don't say that. Please don't say that. And what she's doing, if you don't sort of realize it, is utilizing the authority of Netflix as a streaming company to prop up herself. So that's what she's doing. And I don't think it's working too well. And Emilian says Starmer can go get stuffed, in the British opinion. Lee Foster says Queen Elizabeth II did host known as Dine and Sleep for politicians. Linda says, I would only be interested in Meghan to give up the titles. Yeah, I think that would help. That would help. Creative Chaosify says, last May I predicted that nothing would come out of ARO. Today I predict nothing will come out as ever. Yeah, I said it. You might be true. You might be right. Question the First says, Meghan Markle did her research and didn't know anything about the others with the name as ever. I call BS. All I did was type it into a search engine, and NYCCO was the page number 1. Yep. But now they'll get pushed back because Meghan's stuff will overwhelm them. That's the problem. So Caroline Lane says, Miss K, you had to wonder about Netflix's thinking. Yeah, me too. EMP 2022 said, good morning from Kansas City. When is Charles and Parliament going to do something about these two? Americans don't get that they aren't real royalty. I don't know, but they need to. Charles needs to take this more seriously. I did a short, there's one on the Crown Report here on a live. There's another Crown Report short episode on the actual Crown Report YouTube channel talking about this. And it's very frustrating to me that he just kind of the Buckingham Palace, I feel like, is a bit behind the times here, because I think their general attitude is, oh, Harry and Meghan will just wear themselves out at some point. And that's not going to happen. She is never going to go away. The unfortunate thing is, once Harry married her, Meghan was just going to constantly be clinging to things forever. The thing is, as the money situation gets more and more desperate, she herself will sort of get kind of decline, you could say, as she gets more and more desperate, as things aren't going very well. So I realize the light's getting weird because the sun's moving. But yeah, not a great. And the Parliament, I don't think Parliament will move until Charles says, yeah, he supports the move. And that's unfortunate because Charles needs to support the move. He can still be the father to his son, but he also must be king. And being king requires great sacrifice sometimes. Maria Murillo says she's lost all support from A-listers. She has. I don't think anybody's really in her corner. DS says, I just got to say, it's cool watching you on Damoon. How'd y'all meet? Why, thank you. Yeah, somebody said they mentioned me to him a couple of times. And so somehow that got connected, think over Twitter. And then he had me on a couple of times, and he's like, yeah, I want you on every Monday. So that is what we do. Joan G says, interesting that Carol Middleton became a millionaire with her party planning business. Meghan Markle will fail in spectacular fashion. Probably. Margaret says, don't think any of her brand names are credible. They're really not great brand names. Like, I mean, I'm being serious, guys. I'm not being anti-Meghan. They're just actually bad brand names. There's just no way about it. Skylar says, happy Saturday to you all. Rich says, "Oh, baby Pip. Hopefully her tummy is feeling better because we've had some issues this morning." Marjorie says, "Do you think the lack of funds comes into it? She needs to buy cheaper goods, say from Mexico, Canada, sell via as ever." It's not. I mean, it could be a thought, but I mean, I would think she would want to show the best light. You could say if that makes sense, and so I would think that's probably not the case. Margaret says their lawyers must be making money hand over fist. Yep. Joan G says, can you compare the Invictus to Warrior Games attendees participants costs? I don't know if I have really the time to do that, but I will just say in general, there seems to be a market decline in the amount of people attending the games in individual events. My thought and belief has always been if you cannot support the games yourself, then you need to do something else. Because I know there's some veterans programs there's veterans programs that take the couples up to Alaska, like small groups, but they take several over a period of weeks in the summer to kind of help them restore their marriage. That's totally self-funded. The military doesn't give them any money for that. So why do Harry and Meghan and the Invictus Games need $30+ million? It's because the games are too overbloated for what they are and what the audience is. Like, you can't just say, because some people said, well, you don't want something for the veterans. It's like, or, we have to pay because they're veterans. No, we have to pay for like healthcare costs, mental health costs and those sorts of things. The Invictus Games is not applicable to that, in part because it's essentially run as a self-glorified PR campaign for the guy running it, in this case, Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle. It has lost all its credibility, I think, in many ways, because it's too referential on them and not referential enough on the veterans. Nobody should be paying for this thing if it's not focused on simply the veterans. Harry being there, yes, he can still be patron. Yes, he can still be supportive, but he's trying to run this thing and it's not working. Dan says, I made the live, Brittany. So happy to be here. I'm so glad you are here. Star Child Jess says, good morning. Hi, Brittany. Good morning from rainy, cold Houston, Texas. She's really manic, is bewildering to witness. Why don't they just go away for 10 years? Research before relaunch is simple. It is. The thing is, she's trying to rush everything. She was trying to get the Netflix deal. I think she should have just gone on TikTok or YouTube. Just do that. You don't have to deal with the middlemen. You don't have to deal with all this other stuff. But the other thing, too, is Meghan Markle doesn't really want to take risks. She always wants somebody to financially back her risk. And unfortunately, sometimes you just have to take the risk. You have to bet the finances, and yeah, you might fail. You also might succeed, but you sometimes need to take the risk. Creative Chaosify says, Brittany, people don't like Meghan because she's trying to cut the line. Others work hard to build a business from the ground up, and she just waltzes in with her title and wants it all now. That is true too. That is true too. You don't get the sense of somebody who works really hard. She just kind of walks in and expects everything to be there. We have Joanna here, Wendy C, Anna, Cedrone, and I don't think I've called out Heather yet. So hi, Heather. And we got Azuma says, keeping fingers crossed that Birmingham pulls out of the Invictus Games. I think, and again, I want the veterans to get what they want. But I think the thing every city should ask the Invictus Games is, can you support yourself financially? If we have to spend a dime on this, then you better justify every single cost and we better get our money back. If we don't get our money back, then you owe us more money. That's what every government, I think, should tell them. Because, again, the whole point of the Olympics is that you put on this big sports competition, which brings in a lot of tourists. A lot of tourists book hotels, get food, yada, yada, yada. And as a result, you make money. That's not happening with the Invictus. It seems to be, and I hate to categorize it this way because I'm not trying to put down the veterans at all, but because it's not being marketed well, it's become something that's just there for friends and family. So it's essentially like a talent show. You're essentially spending $30+ million on a talent show where only family and friends are attending. That does not work. That does not work. No government should be spending money on that, in my opinion. Water says, I heard that the town in Spain who wants to sue her for the logo is afraid that she can money-wise over them. Yes. but they should sue her because she totally took their name, or logo. Steven says American Riviera Orchard Megan paid $21,000 on 4 trademarks. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Siba says she has an innate ability to screw things up. She sort of does. Joan G says, love your sweater. Why, thank you. I was trying to figure out what to wear today. MK Small says, snowy good morning from Colorado. Christina says, Harry and Meghan both have sucker on their foreheads. Yes. Carol says, Meghan is not listening to the experts around her, and she goes mad about the blowback. Yep, she does. Skylar McReady says, I think Meghan and Harry are both stunted at the age of 12. Yes. And that's probably maybe why they're match made in heaven, is that they're both mentally at the age of 12. So, like, in terms of their emotional intelligence there. So they kind of maybe are perfect. Liz M says, hi, Brittany. I'm sure Meghan Markle is enjoying all the attention, even being so negative. Her face appears in every channel. Hope sometime it all fades away. So, yeah. And here's the thing, too. Although she might technically be enjoying the attention, she's also hating the negativity. So she constantly wants the attention. So she feeds the media beast to get the attention, and then it turns negative, and then she gets mad, and then she tries to right the ship again. So almost we're, like, in a way, really weirdly torturing her. Because she wants every channel to be glowing about her, and they're not. So she constantly is trying to fix it because she thinks if she talks more, things will get better, and they just don't tend to do that. So she's constantly chatting. So it's like really self-defeating in a lot of ways what she's doing. And so, yeah. And I think there is this conception, which I think is wrong, that all press is good press. That is not correct anymore. That is not correct. All press is not good press. And this bad press will hurt her. This bad press will hurt her. And yes, some people still might be curious and buy her stuff, but a lot of people won't. A lot of people won't. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well. So next we got Margaret. Her mood board was so boring. It was. It was. I didn't even post it on X because like, this is dull. This is dull. This is the best she's got. This is the best she's got. Really? Really? Greedy Lambert says it's pretty empty mood board. Yes, it is. She will never stop playing pretend. Yeah. MK says mood board is as sloppy as her clothes. And it's so obvious what she's doing too, because she has things clustered in certain ways. So, I mean, it's sort of sloppy, but it's also like everything's clustered in a particular way. And so she is like trying to share like where I've come from, where I'm going. And like, it's no. Ella says 47 going on 13. Not bad. Cencias Groupie says, I thought her mood board was very beige. It is. Everything's beige. Meghan Markle is beige personified. And that's not necessarily a good thing. And somebody said, and I think it's sort of true, or at least he was the guy who like kind of reacts to fashion on the red carpet. He was going, yeah, beige is kind of out. And I think it's true. Beige is sort of going out. Here's the thing, guys. If you're constantly trying to chase a trend, you will end up failing, or you will end up being out of style, out of season, what have you, because you don't have enough of your own sense to go, I'm going to not follow the trends. I'm going to be my own trendsetter. Meghan Markle is not her own trendsetter. She follows the trends. She sort of obsesses about the trends. She thinks wearing beige makes her look fancy. And I'm like, yes, some ways maybe it looks sort of clean, but it's really a different thing. It really is. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing to consider, is that some people think, oh, if I just follow this trend, I will personify X to people. It's like, if you're just true to yourself, even if it's wealthy and ridiculous, I think people will follow. That's why Goop has a following, to be quite honest. Gwyneth Paltrow is ridiculous, but she owns it. And she's like, I don't care. I'm uber wealthy. I'm a little bit weird. That's fine. And I'm like, okay, bravo. Good for you. Because at the end of the day, all we want is the authenticity. Meghan should dig in more into her opulent lifestyle, dig more into her obsession with designer duds, dig more into that instead of trying to be, oh, I'm so nice. I'm so this and I'm so that, because we all know it's false. We all know it's not real. So the more she does it, the like, we're like, it's fake. Marjorie says, I heard the comment that she sleepwalks into another mess. It says it all. Yes, it does. Creative Chaosify says, mood boards are just a justification for selfishness. Sometimes it's good to think of other people, not just yourself. Yeah. And she wasn't taking like her inspirational quotes were from herself. They weren't from other people. Like my inspirational quotes, like if I did a mood board, and maybe I should do one just for fun to show you guys what I would think. I don't really have one, but I would think would motivate me is like, I would love the quote from Winston Churchill, never, never, never give up. There's one from C.S. Lewis. I think it's C.S. Lewis says, um, the mistakes are the most brutal of teachers, but you learn. My God, do you learn? I love that because mistakes are brutal teachers, but you learn, and you get better next time. And so, I like the Einstein quote: "Imagination is more important than knowledge." Why? Because you need to imagine something beyond the knowledge you already have, and that requires something called imagination. So that's kind of self redundant again, but I like those would be the type of things that would like I have a thing in my room that I need to hang. This is a well behaved women seldom make history. I love that because it's pretty true. It's pretty true. And so I think Meghan literally self-referencing herself is like, really? All your quotes are you quoting you to you? Like, think about that. Her quotes are literally her quoting her to herself. Yeah. As much as ever, I see the same boring stuff from Megan. Exactly. Skylar says, "Did she did that mood board on a whim?" Yeah, and I was like, okay. Caroline Lane says, "Ritz, I'm starting to think she has no idea what real life is anymore." Probably not. Pinkie Pie says she forgot to add mint leaf to elevate her board. Yeah. Azuma says, "As ever, Megan is a tone deaf as ever." Hashimin's mama says, "I think Harry is stuck at the age of 12 and Meghan in her 20s. They're both mentally stunted." I could definitely see that. I agree there. Mario says, "You'd have to be insane to make that." Yep. Marjorie says, "It's a board to take a photo for Instagram. Carecut 2000. Yeah. MJ Clark says, "Why didn't she use her children's name? Didn't she trademark them?" She could have. I don't know, but then it'd be two referencing themselves. Margaret says she does not understand that people can't afford her nonsense. Yeah. Gretchen the First says that vision board looks like something Oprah was trying to get everyone to do at least 30 years ago. Yeah. Lizzie says the labels say raspberry spread, which means she can't meet the requirements to call it jam. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. I didn't think about it not meeting the requirements to call it jam. Joe Angerbread says, "Brittany and everyone at RNN is a great way to start my birthday celebration. Coffee and Royals. Happy birthday. Hope you have a great day." Birthdays are always fun. Azuma says Meghan Markle is not a creative person. She is not. Ella says, "That's why I call her Moonwalker. She's always going backwards." DP says mood boards. It's like watching the mind of a 13-year-old. Yeah. So we got Mara Toner. Hi, Brittany and Ms. Pippa from Delaware. We got Starchild Jess. She blatantly lied in that video. She did. There's no other way to look at it. Honestly. Princess Goose says she's trying to bully them out of existence. Skylar says, "I think the Board of Health FDA needs to inspect the gym." Crystal says, "Love your sweater, Brittany." Why, thank you. So this is from Michael Kors. I probably got it at TJ Maxx or on sale at like a department store or something. I can't quite remember. So Rich says the Duke S wanted to only work with the top caliber, bestest directors, producers, or some nonsense like that. Yeah, and then like made their lives so difficult. All of them just abandoned once they were done, like left as soon as humanly possible. They didn't stick around. Loretta says it is so unfair that her stuff comes up first on Google search since she doesn't have any stuff yet. So true. Azuma says, "What's happening with Harry and David?" I like they challenged it, which is probably why she just had to like let it go. She doesn't want to challenge it. MTE says she could have named it As Ever Megan. That would have made more sense. It would have. I don't. Yeah, As Ever Megan like makes more sense. Yes. Oh, there's so many things. You guys are all so much smarter than she is. All right. Caroline says, "Joe Angerbread, a big happy birthday to you." Stefanka says, "Do you think she has any products ready to sell?" I would hope so at this point. I would hope so. Goodness gracious is me. All right. Azuma says, "Arnan, you did things the right way." Seems to be. Hopefully. Gretchen the First says, "Raspberry spread is deceptively labeling. Could have anything in it. There are products like Polaner, all fruits that are labeled as fruit spread, fruit, sugar, and maybe pectin." Interesting. We have Josa here from Essex. We have Coco's mom. She's over guesstimated the money Harry had, and she wanted the title so she could go back to California. Her dream was to live in Montecito. How's that dream working out for her now? Yeah. I always go back to the guys, and I remember this too when Oprah Winfrey went and bought this house in Montecito. She walked up to the front door. It was $50 million. And she said, I want this house. And they sold it to her. I remember that. And I feel like Meghan remembers that too. And that's why she lives in Montecito. Probably for that. Spice Rex says mood boards are for 13-year-olds. That's about her maturity level. A lot of turkeys stop maturing when they start drinking. I'm not going to go down that path. I don't want to make accusations there that I definitely can't back up. But mood board being at an immaturity level, yes. Brittany Carr says, good morning, everyone. Brittany and Ms. Pippa. Hope everyone stays warm. Like what I would do, I do have a whiteboard downstairs and I have a bunch of dry erase markers because I was obsessed with, at first it was chalkboards and then it was dry erase boards because I find them so fun. I do. But I would be more like I have ideas. And so it's how does to me, RNN is like a tentacle or like an octopus that has multiple arms doing different things. And I think that's fine. So it's more about okay, what should we do next? What's the next business plan? Those sorts of things. I'm trying to get more of that formulated this year because I haven't been as good as that because things move so quickly. Oops, sorry. I'm trying to get closer to my desk. But I did finally get a thing to help me roll better because I was kind of damaging the carpet. MK Small says when she's 80, she'll be running around like a 13-year-old. Yeah. Porter says that's because you actually know what you're doing and make sure you research, unlike Meghan, which is surprising to me, guys. My degree is in history. So I shouldn't how I did it all myself. I was just like, well, I wanted a name. I wanted to make sure nobody else had. And to be quite honest, I took inspiration from CNN, Cable News Network, Royal News Network. Yeah. So Lizzie says she isn't going to settle. She said, I've had this name since I was 21 or 22. Remember how she took the guys from Sussex? Very true. Marjorie says, hi, it may change to as ever Meghan rather than pay out. They're losing money so fast now. Yeah, exactly. Ref Elias Riccardi says people watch more videos criticizing her social media than her social media. We're fascinated by her failures, and her core fans have small purchasing capabilities. Exactly. Again, I think 150% more people are watching the train wreck than actually watching her because they're that interested in her. And I go back to, and this is more again what I've experienced, but I think this is widely true, which is that more people, let's say, watch people react to shows like The Acolyte, Velma, let's see, some of the newer Doctor Who's, different things, than actually watch them. That's what we've come to, is that there's this whole reacting culture now, and that people watch and react to things. And sometimes we just want them to watch and react to something because we don't want to watch it ourselves. Or we're like, is it really that bad? And they go, yeah, it is that bad. And it's like, okay, I've watched a lot of reviews of the Rings of Power. I've never watched a single second of it on Amazon. Not a single second. But have I watched people react to it and gotten all the plot points and everything? Yes. Does it look terrible? Yes. To me, it looks horrifically awful. So I don't really want to watch it, but do I want to watch other people roast it? Yes, I do. So I think there's that sort of building within the culture as well. Heather says, I bet Mama knows best is stolen too. Yeah, I'm almost kind of surprised nobody had that before. So that is curious. Carol says she doesn't know who she is. That's why she can't build a successful brand. Exactly. You have to know who you are. I probably had too much of an innate sense of who I am. And I'm not really deviated from that. My mom can probably attest to that I'm pretty solid on exactly who I am and what I want. And that's both a good and bad thing in different ways. Everything has good and bad qualities to it. 150%, nobody's perfect. But I will say when it comes to this Meghan stuff in the brand, there's just no way, guys. No way at all. She was not told that this brand was owned by somebody else, that somebody else had the trademarks, yada, yada, yada. She was told that, and she still proceeded anyways. Or that she wasn't told, hey, if you name an American Riviera Orchard, it's going to be geographically limited. She was told that, I'm sure. If she didn't, she needs to hire new trademark attorneys. And Meghan, I know. I'm actually pretty sure you probably watch a lot of this stuff, or your staff do. If your lawyers didn't tell you that American Riviera Orchard or somebody in your company didn't tell you that would be geographically limiting, and you just found that out as you were doing the trademarks, then you should probably like evaluate who you're hiring. Let's just put it that way. Anderson says that picture of her kissing Harry is similar to William and Catherine on the beach with the man kissing her pick exactly like William. So it makes me wonder if Meghan's really envisioning. Probably she's just desperate to compete. World Gone Mad says, good morning and happy Saturday. She can't build her business in someone else's misery and loss. She can't destroy someone else's business and not face karma. Yeah. Coco's mom says, Mama knows best. Sounds like something a crazy person would brainwash their kids with. Yeah. Um, Isn't there the song from Tangled, Mama Knows Best? And the evil stepmother or adoptive mom, that's what she sings. So, yeah, Meghan, maybe not the best name to, associate yourself with the Disney villain. Christina says Harry and Meghan likes to take loads of money, dump it in trash, and set it on fire. Yeah, seems like that's sort of the case. Rich says everything is a rush job to cover up something else that she's incapable of delivering. Yeah. Anna Million says raspberry spread. That just sounds so wrong. I've heard jams conserve and preserve for a jams like product, but spreads sound so cheap. A little bit. Missy Lulu says yes. Bethany Skinny Girl. I mean, she even has X with Orville Redenbacher for popcorn. Bethany has jam too. Creative Chaosify says she needs to fork out a lot of money to hire someone who knows what they're doing and let them take over. Exactly. She needs to let go. She needs to let go and let somebody else. And it is hard. I will say, guys, it's hard. It's hard. Like I look at my business and it's hard to imagine giving up some aspects of it to somebody else. But to me, it's coming to the point where I can't do it all myself anymore. So like I have to. But it's you got to be careful, but at the same time too, I want to have the vision, but I do need somebody to run the business, and that's what Meghan needs. She can have the vision, but she needs somebody to run the business side, and you sort of need both. You need a visionary, but you need a nuts and bolts person, and she doesn't have a nuts and bolts person, or she thinks she is that, and I think we can all safely say that that's probably a wrong assertion that she is that person. Marjorie says, as ever, clothing brand will certainly outlive Meghan's brand. I cannot see her lasting more than a year or so. She might also get bored. If it doesn't sell well enough, she'll abandon it. I can see it. Coco Freens says, I'm sure she was told, but being always knows better, she probably thought there would be no pushback because the original, as ever, are just little people. Exactly. Rafaela says she lied to our face about ARO saying it was about her choice to leave it in our face. Exactly. And that's not... It's not a good look. Clink says she thinks who she is and the yacht is so out of touch. So yeah, both toxic together. They've been toxic for long before they met. Yeah. Azima says Bethany Frankel is a good businesswoman person. She is. And again, she is so right. You can't let like you're selling it at a particular store and they're like, oh, you should do it this way and this way and this way. And maybe they're trying to be helpful, but they don't really know your business. And so sometimes you do have to go, no, I'm not going to listen to that person. And she's right there. Margaret says, what is she going to sell? And what can we begin to avoid it? Well, definitely spread and jam and honey, apparently. All innately terrible products you can get anywhere. R. Anderson says, Mama knows best reminds you of the manipulative narcissistic mother for take hold of the song she sings. Mama knows. I can't remember the rest of it, but when does the Netflix deal end? Asma asks. Sometime this year. Gretchen the First says, Dave Ramsey has a new book Meghan needs called Build a Business You Love. Advice from a proven businessman and financial expert. But then Meghan Markle never takes good advice. She does not. We have Evelyn here. Good morning, Brittany and real followers. Road Gone Mad says, question, Brittany, I'm planning a trip to Barcelona. Any advice on where to go? Must-see places? Thank you. I have never been to Barcelona. That's one of the few places I have not been to. So I can't really give you any great advice there. See the La Grazia Familia or whatever it is. But other than that, I don't know. I have not been to Barcelona. Azima says, does Meghan think she would get a special treatment from the trademark office for AO as ever? She could think that. That's not a smart decision, but she could think that. Cyber Maven, music and media. Your analysis videos have been insightful and accurate. I love the breakdown of Bethany's take on Meghan. We are all too emotionally intelligent to be manipulated by the D-list actress. Yes, exactly. This is the time where people are very, very media savvy. So you trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, sure, your more diehard fans might be fooled, but the rest of the public is like, no, we've been watching the news. And that's what some people said too. They're like confused. They're like, we've been watching the news. It said you couldn't get the trademarks in September, and now you're claiming it's something else. Like, again, I don't understand why she just couldn't, again, massage the truth, not lie. Because what she did was lie. She didn't massage the truth. She lied. Massage the truth, saying, I'm so sorry. It just was going to be too difficult. We had to do this rebrand. Cause she's like all giddy and like pumping it up and stuff like that. It's like, be real, be serious. People do gravitate towards that, but it's the false cheeriness and the sort of like dancing around and saying, oh, it was this when we all know it was that. It's just not a smart move. Raffaella says seducing a dumb prince is not as easy as seducing millions of people, but she can't understand that. No, he is dim. That has been like widely reported in every magazine and article and stuff. I mean, it's all, I almost feel bad for the guy. Like basically everybody's calling him dim. And I'm like, okie day. Lee Foster says, morning, Brittany. Did Meghan lie? Shocker in her video. And she said she had secured as ever in 2022. Isn't it still pending? Yes, it is. I looked it up. It's still pending. So I think, I think what I figured out, I think is that she sort of let it go and then is now redoing it. So that's not a good avenue. As a missus, I like the debate when someone can provide an actual argument. Exactly. I don't like it when people are just like, say your piece. That's fine. If you want to support Harry and Meghan, that's fine. But it's like most of the Sussex squad almost immediately descend into name calling. And it's like, number one, that tells me you don't have an argument. You literally have no argument if you descend to name calling. That's 100% the case. That's how it works. It's called an ad hominem defense, where you attack the person and not the argument. They do that all the time. And I just find it annoying because it's like, I just want to go, I want to logic with them, but I know I can't logic with them because there's no logic there to logic. And I want to just go, when you say that, that tells me you have zero argument and that you actually essentially have to agree with me because you have no other way to defend the person you worship. Because to me, it's like they worship her. You can't criticize her at all. And if Harry thinks that those people are going to protect him if they divorce, oh boy, they will turn on him like a dime. He will be the devil to them. So, yeah. Wendy Van Rokel says the drawing painting of her and Harry with the dog is very much styled as the drawings that came out after the Queen died and Prince Philip, with her and Prince Philip together again with a corgi. Yeah, it's literally a fan art that somebody drew that Meghan was like, oh, I want more of that. Tell me without telling me you're obsessed with social media. That's just what I want to know. All right, so we have a Patricia. Their Netflix market is not big enough or prestigious enough. So the Netflix market though is good, and like Netflix has some general good business cachet. So I'm going to totally discount that. Mind Control Sub number 13 says, when does Netflix contract end? Sometime this year. Robert says her maturity and pettiness is shameful. It is. Monique says, I read William may do cancer testing because of the exhaust fumes from the helicopters he flew. One of his colleagues recently died from cancer and flew some of those same helicopters. Interesting. If he is, good for him. You need to be aware of those sorts of things. Hopefully that's not the case. Evelyn says, did you see the trailer for the Suits LA? Yeah, it looks bad. But I wasn't impressed with the original. I just watched the first episode though, but maybe other episodes are better. Cats eat cookies. And I've heard not Meghan's character and the lawyer she's attached to, but Donna and Harvey are like the reason to watch the show. Cats Eats Cookie says, Brittany, I agree with you 100% about the discrepancy between as ever wording and the palm tree logo. I'm a little artist. And the first time I saw it, I found it so jarring. It is very jarring. It's very jarring. I don't understand why she didn't just use letters. Because at least to me, if she used letters like she did with ARO and simple, Meghan, don't do a crazy, thing that looks like a squished bug. Just do something simple. She could do that. But she decided to make something that's so jarringly different. And I'm like, what? And she's made it like a tropical brand. It's like you look like you're in the tropics. I don't understand how she has all the resources in the world, guys. Kari G says English is not my first language, and the new name means nothing to me. It doesn't mean anything to anyone. It's like really just almost random phrases, as ever. It's just not a good name. Margaret says, would spread be subjected to scrutiny of the authorities? What content is that? I do not know. I can't say. Caroline says, Brittany, what are your thoughts on why Netflix keeps backing the Harkles? I would have thought they would have met their contractual obligations. They're trying to, again, make money from them. So they're going to keep them somewhat in the good graces until they make the money. That's it. The Wrong Shoe says, "Hi from Northern Ireland. Do you think her show will be renamed to As Ever for brand unity? It should." I don't know why she didn't go with love, Megan. I mean, she should have named it As Ever in the first place. I don't know why. Because again, guys, we have 3 competing brand names now: As Ever, With Love, Megan, and American Riviera Orchard, because that's still floating out there in people's consciousnesses. And then you also technically have the brand of Megan. So you have like 4, at the very least 3, but really 4 competing brands. And that's for one person without a single product. Creative Chaosify says, word on the street is that the test screenings for With Love Megan are going badly. I'm not surprised. We have Shaz says, good afternoon, Brittany, Ms. Pippa, and everyone from in the chat from cold and wet Motherwell, Scotland. Aw. Echo Lyra says, I want to see her supposed signed letters with As Ever written. Yeah, she likes her fancy cursive. I don't call it calligraphy because it's not calligraphy, it's fancy cursive. So Marjorie says, I guess we now wait for Netflix's response. Do they ignore it all and hope that the series finishes out with her? Point. Will they put out the episodes at once and be done with it? They will put all the episodes out at once. They have not done an episode by episode run yet, which many people have suggested that they should, because that would make the show a bit better at this point. So they could definitely do that. But when it comes to the series, is just be like, it'll be a challenge. Teacher Ray Samantha says, Megan is bizarre because she thinks she's always right, never listens to people around her, even if it's for her own good. I guess that is her definition of feminism. Yeah, exactly. Because guys, 100%, somebody told her that naming it American Riviera Orchard would be geographically limiting. At some point, somebody told her, hey, this other company over here has something that says, As Ever, maybe you shouldn't do that. Like, people have told her that, and she proceeds to ignore it. Loretta Toasty says, question, do you think we can be objective watching her Netflix show? See, that's hard. See, the unfortunate thing for her is that she's so well known. Anytime people see her, they're looking for the idiosyncrasies. And so she's going to have a challenging time. I don't think it's going to be loved. But I mean, the bad thing too is we have a track record of pretty dismal shows. So you come in with already this bad track record. That means she really has to blow it out of the water and do fantastic for people to be that. If it's good, guys, I will say, I have no problem saying if it's good, it's good. But the thing is, I don't think it's going to be good. Now, I'll try to come in with an open mind. I really will. I'm actually one of those people where it's hard because you're so in it that it's hard to be objective. So I'll be interested to see what other people who are outside the mess think of it. I'll be very curious, because that to me would give me somewhat a better metric. But I know at least, a couple of people who are on Piers Morgan who don't watch any of their things. Like, one of them proudly proclaims the only thing he knows about Harry and Meghan is from South Park. And they watched the polo and thought it was awful. And I think that's generally the reaction she'll get to. So we got Stephen and Magnus, who does such great research. Thank you so much, Stephen, for the super chat. As ever, Trademark is 13th September 2022. Non-final action, unsigned application. First request for 6-month extension submitted 6th of November 2024. Original trademark. Yeah. So it was originally, yes, she originally filed it, but again, she lied. She's trying to wiggle around it. Says, I secured it. She didn't secure it. She filed it, didn't secure it. Like, these are just basic things people with any sort of research skills can grab. It's like, I don't understand why she lies about this stuff. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. Gretchen the First says, jam is either almost a commodity product that people buy cheap or has to have a cachet hook. Highgrove, Bonnie Man, Stonewall Kitchen, Great Gourmet Company in Maine, etc. Yeah, and I think it's also one of those things where it's kind of, I would argue, geographically specific. Like, when it comes to, again, the Palace jam, you buy it because it's at the Palace. Not really because you need the jam from the Palace, but because it's Palace jam. So that makes it specialer. Like, other than that, I would not buy the jam. So we got Pat Moo Moo. Well, thank you so much for the first super chat because I don't think I've seen this before. Resting Dollface had a theory that Meghan Markle may have been aware of a pre-existing brand and logo, but went ahead with her release, believing she is bigger. I could 100% believe that. 100% believe that. And that's not a good business decision to make just because it causes brand confusion. So, guys, I've made I think I can't remember where I shared this. Sorry, guys. I do members only live streams, I do videos, I do other things, and so I do Dan Wooten now. So I was like, my brain ping pongs to different things. I was like, where did I say what? What? But like for me, guys, when it came to I had a account sitting on Royal News Network on Blue Sky, sort of the Twitter competitor, because I didn't move over there because I'm like, oh, I don't need to do that. But what I didn't consider is that somebody else would take that username and start posting things I didn't post. And so I had to file with Blue Sky saying this is an impersonator account. They are diluting my brand. I have a brand here, 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 and here that I'm using with the same name, same, basically same logo, same information, same colors. And so they took that account down first. And, I had to wait for a bit. And then they sent me an email going, we will give you this account name because this is obviously you. And because I didn't want the brand dilution of somebody spreading propaganda that under my name that I didn't approve as a brand. So that had to be taken down. And so that's sort of what happens. But Meghan Markle thinks she's bigger and that she can crush, I think, anywhere else. I want this name. So I don't want anybody else. So who cares who else is using it? I'm bigger. I can just bulldoze them. And it's just like, number one, guys, it's not polite. It's really not polite. And it's like, can you not think of another name? Really? Really? Like, there's so many names out there. And yes, it requires a lot of thought, a lot of challenges sometimes because you got to find the brand name and this and this and this. And yeah, it's not easy, but you will figure it out. It reminds me of something I want to do where I actually have the name on Instagram. Like I have multiple Instagram accounts I'm sitting on just because I want to make sure I have that username if I want to go and do something with them at some point. So yeah, that's what you do. But it's like, it's names I thought about for a long time because some of them I've had for years. So we have Live Free or Die says, good morning from New Hampshire, Brittany. Sorry, I had to do that in dramatic voice. Carol says, I've tried Bon Mam Jam was tasty. The recipes are so simple. Yes. J.S. Crawford says, I was never inclined to write to the king until I saw Harry and Meghan doing a faux royal visit with a First Nation and putting it in Town and Country. Too far? Yep. They got to do that. Ooh, Chris says a tour to Ice Hotel. That's so cool. That's so cool. I do want to go up and see the Northern Lights at some point. I really wanted to go to Europe in May. Got issues. Set that back. Not fun. Diaz says, I got to say, your latest crime report was impressive. You're incredibly knowledgeable. I'm learning a ton. Thank you. I'm so glad. I really enjoy them. Caroline Lane says, I saw on the news a mains water pipe burst in Detroit and caused flooding and then froze the cars in the street halfway up to the doors. As an Aussie, I can't comprehend that. No, neither can I, to be quite honest. That is really scary. I mean, I've lived in some pretty cold locations, but I've never seen anything like that, and that scares me. Jive Speaker says, I'm going to trademark sincerely and assure anyone who uses it. And sue anyone who uses it. Yep. So I like to say blessings when I sign off on my email, because it's like, wish you blessings and everything. And so that's always what I've signed off with. So I've kind of debated like actually figuring out how to would that work as a name? And I found out it wouldn't. And I was like, okay, never mind then. I can move on. Like I'm not so attached to it because you want to find something that nobody else has so that when they Google your name, you're the first person who comes up. This is not hard. This is like basic 101 stuff here. Tux Girl says, question, how much money is she making on the day collecting from her website? I mean, she could be making some money, but not like a ton. A ton. All right. Okay. So, sorry, we got a crazy person in the chat. There we go. DP says, Brittany, do you think it's possible that the RF is waiting for a possible divorce so they can convince Prince Harry to put the titles in abeyance for a deal that includes a yearly allowance and Frogmore? Could be. Could be, to be quite honest, but like you shouldn't. They're making decisions on a hope and a whim rather than the facts on the ground. The facts on the ground say Meghan is just going to make their lives difficult until the end of time. So they got to make the tough decisions. Bebop says, bottom line, she has nothing that anyone wants or cares about, and she can't understand why people don't flock to anything she peddles. Yeah, exactly. Basha says, Tig was never about wine. It was part of her plan to ensnare Harry. Tig was his nanny's name. Ah, interesting. Interesting. Haven't heard that, but I can imagine Tiggy was his nanny's name. Shaz says, as soon as I heard the name as ever, I knew I had seen the name for a clothing site. So how come the lawyers, etc., missed this? They definitely didn't miss it. She just, I don't think, cared. I don't think she cared. Gretchen the First says, Meghan illustrates a quote I first heard from a professor in business school a long time ago. Watch how you treat people on the way up because you may meet them on the way down. Exactly. Exactly. Treat people well. Treat people well. That's all you have to do, and she really has not treated people well. Yeah, Bebop says Bethany Frankel is everything Meghan aspires to be. Unfortunately, Meghan is lazy, whereas Bethany hustles her bunnies constantly to generate buzz. She does. She does. She really does. Creative Chaosify says, is Thomas Markle still in Mexico? He was supposed to move to Southeast Asia. I have no idea. I don't really keep up with the Markles, to be quite honest, guys. I'm not that interested in that. So yeah, it's not that exciting to me, to be quite honest. So yeah, I mean, hopefully he's okay. Hope he's okay. But I don't keep up with him that much. Stephanie Barrett says, you can't compare yourself, a normal person who behaves normally, to a narcissist, Brittany. The way they operate defies common sense and normal behavior. I know. But it's like, I don't like my logical brain wants the logic. And it can't logic. And it finds that very difficult. Oh, Julie says, is there anything Meghan can do at this point to fix her brand besides taking 5 years off and coming back as a totally changed and different person? I mean, that would certainly help. But I think the big thing is she needs to stop, to be quite honest, she needs to stop lying. That might sound like harsh, but that's true. I mean, all she had to do was explain the real reason why, because we all know. We all know she's not pulling the wool over our eyes. So just be honest. Just be honest. I think the honesty would help, and her being true to herself. She can't be true to herself, and it's damaging so much. Bertasso says, hi, Brittany and Miss Pippa and everyone. Yes. Heather Crawford says she's wanting others to do the footwork for her while she gets all the glory. I think that's incredibly true. And again, guys, if she rushed the branding and didn't do the proper research, like a couple of times now, I'm going to bet you bottom to dollar there will be problems and issues with her products. Because if she screwed up the brand, she screwed up the product too at some point. Because that all comes back to, I think, being detail oriented, being really concerned about the products. Like, you want to make sure the product you give somebody is the best. That's why, like, I really love the shirts I get, that I've sold. I haven't sold them any of them in a while. I think I still have a handful that technically people might be able to find on Shopify that I probably need to sell off at some point. But when it comes to, let's say, Meghan or whatever, it's like, I wanted to make sure they were good quality, which is why I wanted to order them. I need to do more products. I just want to make sure they're good quality before I start, because I don't want somebody to come back and go, oh, the quality of this shirt is bad, or it's like tore and faded after the first use. Yeah, they shrink slightly, but they're good shirts. I feel like they're good designs and stuff. And I've gotten multiple of them now. We'll get them all for their next trip, which I need to officially confirm, guys, because we've got 10 people already signed up for the South of France trip. Everyone 10. So we got some people who have been on, I think, nearly every trip we've done so far, which is super exciting. And I'm thrilled. I think it's going to be a really fun trip. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be apparently really good weather and everything. So I, guys, am super duper stoked. It's gonna be really awesome. So excited. Cindy says Meghan doesn't want to work. She gives her team an idea and expects them to make it happen. She just wants to be a multimillionaire without doing any work. Yeah. And unfortunately, here's the thing. I think she thinks success should just happen. Success is a byproduct usually of really hard work. Being famous is usually the byproduct of doing really hard work. Now, some people have gotten famous other ways, but the vast majority of the time, it is about doing hard work, taking losses, having triumphs and tragedies in the process. That is sort of how you get from point A to point B. And she just wants to be at point B. And she doesn't realize it takes hard work to get from point A to point B, and you have to meander around. Diaz says, what do you think about Gwyneth Paltrow following as ever and why? Do you think it's a shot at Meghan? So I would just be curious of when she started following them. Was it before or after? I will say, though, since all this, I've started following Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop at NYC. And I think it's one of those things where it's just like, Meghan is not fooling the people in Hollywood. There are some people who will like her because she has their political leanings and stuff like that, but like the business people, they know she's made some really big boo-boos. They're not fooled. They are not fooled. And so Gwyneth Paltrow, I think, is one of those people. I think she saw that, and she might have already been somebody who enjoyed as ever NYC. And she chose a company name that nobody would. Here's the thing about Gwyneth Paltrow. Goop is a dumb name, but she made it huge. It seems like a really dumb name, dumb idea, but she really worked it. And she started off with newsletters. They didn't even have products they made and sold yet. They sold other people's stuff. Then they started selling their own things. That is how you grow. You grow organically. Allow it to happen organically. I think Meghan tries to do everything inorganically. And the end result is always catastrophe because you need the market to tell you certain things. You need to grow things certain ways to make things more of a success. And if you try to artificially grow it, you will probably have an issue at some point. CJ says, hi, Brittany. It's been ages, but I love your sweater. Did you notice there are tons of Sussex fans commenting, I love Meghan? So transparent. I haven't actually seen a lot of them anymore. So I've had to actually block quite a few of them. And I honestly think there's a decent amount who are bot accounts and stuff. And here's the thing. If you love Meghan Markle, love Meghan Markle. That's totally fine. But the reality of the ground is that she ain't doing so hot. That's just reality. And she might have a modicum of success here. I'm not saying that she won't. She might have a decent amount of success. She might have an okay amount of success. I don't know. But you can't just go, oh, I love Meghan and expect everybody else to love her as you love her. That's just not reality. I think there's something to the effect of understanding that I'm still really a fan of this person, but I know they screwed up. Like, for me, at least, I really like Blake Lively's fashion, or at least I did, but she's really screwed up. So it does color my view of her because I'm not so in love with her fashion that I'm willing to overlook her faults. Catherine and William, really, really love them too. They do have their faults as well. And I do share them from time to time. The work shy one is one that I think has been around for a long time and has somewhat truth to it. And I know some people don't like that. But do you know why I say that? Because it's important to say that. Queen Maxima, love her gala fashion a lot, hate her everyday fashion a lot. And so she hits and misses quite a bit. Victoria, love her, don't love her fashion. So you have to be able to see the faults in people to actually see them as people. I think the fault of Meghan's followers oftentimes is they see her as this perfect human. And number one, she's not that. Number two, she can't be that. But I feel like it creates this false bubble around her, around them, where they think she's this perfect angel and nothing could go wrong. And then things go wrong. And they're like, what happened? Why isn't everybody loving Meghan? I love Meghan. Don't worship her. Don't worship her. Acknowledge her faults. This is a mess up. You might love her. You can still support her. Good for you. Good for you. Absolutely. But this was a bit of a train wreck. That's impossible to avoid. So maybe, just maybe, she'll pull this off. And if she does, and if she lives the life and she stops, being quite as obnoxious as her and Harry can be, maybe that'll be good. But at the same time, you have to be able to acknowledge your faults. If you can't, it just becomes annoying. Seabass says, I think the global business world, they do not look good because pinching Spain's logo and untrustworthy. Yeah. Yeah. Dolores says, the fact that Harry and Meghan went to the First Nations in Canada and made a royal visit is simply unbelievable. Charles needs to step in me now. Yep. And it was just like so dumb, the chief going, oh, they're the first royal. They're not even royals anymore. Dude, they just have titles. Nobody in the UK talks to them. Like, I don't know. And I think Harry, this is my personal opinion, was maybe too subservient to, you could say, and too deferential to the First Nations there. Like, talking about we're using their land and stuff like that. I was like, do they control that land anymore? Does that really matter? Kind of type of thing. So I know that's somewhat controversial, but I think at some point, like, you know, somebody won, you lost. That's just kind of life. That's been the case throughout all of human history, guys. All of human history, there have been wins and losses, and you sometimes have to take the loss. Rose says, Nadeem says, is Meghan messing up on purpose? Like, I don't think she is. Now, some people, again, have argued that maybe she is to generate clout. This is not the way to generate clout in a positive way. This is all negative. This is all negative. She's starting her company literally at a deficit because she had to change the name publicly last minute when she could have actually been including us in on the process much earlier. And this transition wouldn't have been so like shocking. And that's not, again, not a great way to go. Clifford Lawrence says, I'm going to write to King Charles about Prince Harry going to those Canadians pretending he is righting the wrongs of the past. I hope the king will respond, or Buckingham Palace, because our BRF, our reputation is being damaged. Yeah, I've argued the same thing. They have to treat Harry and Meghan as the danger that they are, and they got to humble them a bit. They need to be humbled. A. Bertasso says, no, Parliament has to do it, but do you think if Charles made it clear behind the scenes he supported the change to if not the tiles, the line of succession like the Swedish model, it would happen? Yes. I believe 100% they want him to be on board in some way or another. Christina Rogers says, are Catherine Williams still on a holiday this week? As far as we're aware, yes. Babette says, shout out to Brittany for not being mean-spirited and looking for evidence. I've stopped watching some of the sites because things like ripping apart every photo. Yeah, I really don't want to rip apart every photo. I know other people do that. And, if you, that's fine. That's their prerogative, of course, but I'm just not interested in that as like, trying to identify the shadows and everything. And it's like that's sort of, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's sort of kind of, you're getting to the point where you're kind of like making things up because you just don't really know. And honestly, guys, having taken a lot of pictures, you'd be surprised about the things that happen. And we can't be sure. So I just like to do with what I can see and what I know isn't working. And from a business perspective, we have a lot to dissect that I hope is actually helpful to people. Like making sure your name and your logo match if you're creating a business is a really good piece of information, because we can look at Meghan's and go, as ever, that does not conjure up in my mind the logo that she has of palm trees and hummingbirds. So I think that I like to be actually helpful, if that makes sense, because I don't think dissecting every photo and the angles and the wrinkles or the whatever, I don't think that's particularly helpful. There's certain places where that might be helpful, but I don't think most of it. That's just me. That everybody can do what they want. That is one of the joys of free speech. People can do what they want. It's just not the route I want to go down. Steven says, a Duchess of Sussex Thoroughbred LLC bought in 2018. The Duchess of Sussex LLC and the Duke of Sussex LLC, both Delaware, registered in August 2020. And thank you so much for the super chat. And like, oh my goodness, she is obsessed with starting companies. Obsessed. And you got to wonder, like, what does it mean for the money? Like, their taxes must be a wreck. Like, starting a company or two, I guess. Starting like 20 is weird. That's weird. Like, genuinely very weird. Because to me, what I see for a company, and again, it might be way too, like, if you have to file bankruptcy for one, then it doesn't affect the others. And I totally get that. But to me, it's like you have an overall company and various tentacles that go down with different avenues. That's how, again, I see my company. Maybe that's bad. Azima says, where is color, Meghan? I don't know. She doesn't like color. I don't know why. Water says, maybe she's trying to bring these things back. She stinks at it. Yeah, she really does. I don't think anybody wants to be her in a way. CJ says, hi, Brittany. It's been ages since I've been able to make a comment. Oh, I'm so glad you were able to. But I love your look today. Did you notice there were so many I love Meghan comments on Bethany Frankel's TikTok? So transparent. Yeah. I mean, I 100% believe that they probably buy bots and stuff. Like 100% believe that. And I have never bought about I don't even know how to. Like, just let the market speak. Yes, sometimes you need to do like Facebook, you sort of need to pay for play. I think TikTok's maybe getting a little bit like that too. So sometimes you need to pay to play, but you don't need people constantly telling people how much they love you. It's weird. It's weird. And if you love Megan, that's a little weird. I wouldn't say like to a certain extent the way people do that. I love Catherine William. Like I like a lot of royals. Um, do I love them? Probably not. Probably not. Clear Light says the Cut magazine article by Megan was vile and disgusting, disgraceful. Um, yeah, I don't know quite where you're leaning there. Yeah, but yeah, it was not a good look for Harry and Meghan. Clear Light says keeping the grandchildren away from Harry and her family is pure evil. Yeah, I think it is. I don't think it's gonna look good on her ever, especially if Charles dies and he doesn't make amends, he will come to resent her. Loretta Tucci says she is in her early to mid 40s, and that is an interesting time because you're getting close to not being young. You see that in her dress. Yes. You're getting to that age. Oh man, I'm getting close to that age. It's amazing because when you're a kid, you think 20 is so old. Now 20 is so young. And I like, we have a small group when kids just out of college to sort of my age. And I'm like, some of them might not even remember 9/11. I saw Titanic in theaters. They might not have even seen Titanic. I saw like the Disney Renaissance in theaters. They weren't even alive then. It's like, I feel so old. They missed out also on great time for movies. Great time for movies. Sheila says Megan's idea of collaboration is her taking over the entire piece of work. That doesn't build trust. It doesn't. It doesn't. And you do need to build trust because you do need to work with people at some point. So Allison says, I hope nobody buys it out of curiosity. It's not worth it, folks. And no one should give her and Netflix another dime. So, I mean, there will be the curiosity seekers. There will be the curiosity seekers. And Megan's fans will always praise it to high heaven. I would be interested to see for the curious if they buy this and go, I spent, let's say, $13 on a bottle of jam, and it's no different than anything else I have in my pantry. I think that would be actually a better metric. Because I have a question for me. It's like, I sort of want to buy the products so I can evaluate them. Can I give an impartial evaluation? That I'm not sure about. And do I want to spend the money to do it? That I don't know either. Mary Ann says, I was a virtual assistant for 13 years for a patent and trademark attorney. Trust me, it's not difficult to sort out due diligence items like other name owners. She is not having attorneys do the work. Yeah, there's something else going on. There has to be because something is really going wrong there because this should all be so easy to take care of. Clifford says the lawyers just advise and the decision is taken by the client. They can't force her to do what they say to her. She clearly decided to ignore the advice given. She's like a bull in a china shop. Yeah, I agree with that. She says Megan thinks we all button up the back and don't remember her lies. She needs to remember her lies so she's not cut out the next time she says them. Exactly. She lies quite a bit. And it's just like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, just tell the truth. I don't understand why that's so hard. Sion Adamson says, greetings, Brittany from North Wales, UK. Probably didn't pronounce your name correctly. Another very plausible explanation for the chaotic branding antics at the Royal Grift. The title, This Smells Funky. Thank you, Brittany. You are welcome. You are welcome. Wendy says the jam jar she displayed at the table with the honey was dripping has a blank label. Was it edited out? It was angled away from the camera, so you couldn't totally tell, which is sort of dumb. I mean, again, guys, I think the teasing here is not even well done. It's not even well done. It's just so bad. Horror Beauty FX says, Royal News Network, why do you think Netflix has stayed on with Meghan? They have had every reason to part with her due to breach of contract and not producing products. So my stipulation has always been is that it would cost them more to cut them off than it would be to keep them on. So at this point, they'd probably lose more money and have to give them a bigger payout to cut the contract early rather than just letting it run out. And then they have restrictions on how much money they can give them. That's what I think is keeping them together at this point. And they're maybe hoping to recoup some of the costs. And they're like, well, this could work. Margaret Olson says, no one wears evening gowns and loads of jewelry to cook, set tables, make floral arrangements. They have staff for that. Otherwise, they wear regular clothing. Exactly. Exactly, guys. And I remember, I mean, I live in the South, so it does get really pretty humid here. And this is more of just like when I was trying to get out of town for Scotland. Guys, I ended up showering twice that day because I ended up mowing the lawn and everything. And I got super duper sweaty, super duper sweaty. And so I ran in and took like another shower. And so it's like, because you're running around and doing stuff. If I was running around getting ready for a party, I would be in sweats until the party time. And then I would probably take a shower and then do the party. SEJ2429 says, how did they spend $89,000 on trademarks or whatnot? I thought it was like $600 per trademark. How many things do they have? That's my question too, because my understanding, because I need to work on securing all the trademarks in my area as well. And that is my question because it is pricey, but it's not horrendously pricey. But yeah, when I was first started, I did contact a lawyer and he said, well, if you're using the trademark and logo and everything, you sort of have common law rights to it. So Nana says, who are you? What is this masterclass by Brittany? Well, maybe. Not that I'm like the best business person. I'm not the numbers person, guys. I'm the conceptual marketing PR kind of person that can give you a decent vision, I think, of something. But numbers and nitty gritty, I'm not good at that at all. So I will be totally honest, guys. There, I cannot help you with that. But I think the stuff I said is pretty good. Not perfect, of course, but try to be helpful. Lexi, thank you so much for this super chat. I do appreciate it. And we got the Canadian Beaver as well. The Governor General of Canada, Mary Simon, is King Charles III's representative in Canada. The Provincial Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, Randy Lisogard Kosia, is another contact for writing letters. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the super chat there as well. So yeah, if you guys want to share your thoughts with King Charles and you're in Canada and you're, maybe upset about the First Nations saying, well, Harry and Meghan apologized. They're the only royals who've taken responsibility. And it's hard too because guys, sort of these things happen. This is like a country or a group of people going in and conquering another group of people. That's just kind of life. That's like literally all of human history. So we're in this weird space now where we're all apologizing for these type of things. Guys, the Romans did not apologize. They crushed and conquered. That's sort of how it works. And then the victors get to write the history. That's sort of how humanity has worked for thousands of years. So this whole notion now that we all must be so sad and crying about it. It's like, well, why aren't the Anglo-Saxons mad at the Normans? Like they should be mad at the Normans, or they should be mad at some of the Scandinavian areas and stuff like that. It's like, well, because you have to move on. If you keep keeping these grievances, it just ain't gonna go anywhere. So good for people to know. We got Modesto Blue Point says, good morning. Only save for Netflix. And I'll say we're so impressed by Meghan's vision there, leaving everything up to her. Then after the crash, create a teledocumentary. Honestly, that would actually not be too bad. Although I would say they shouldn't go too far. And that's what they have done actually, is not go too far. She said they're in a partnership, but they're not saying anything about it. They're not touting it by any stretch of the imagination. They're not creating a bunch of ads or anything. So guys, I'll actually put this out there and I'll maybe put it out on a group chat or community chat or something like that. Yeah, because there's a new community feature thing that I need to get up and running. But if you see an ad somewhere, a billboard for Meghan's show, especially like in Los Angeles and New York, please let me know. That will be helpful to know because then we know they're actually advertising it. My question would be, if they're not advertising it, they don't have a lot of faith in it. They're not putting any advertising budget behind it. They're like, ooh, it's there. The people who know, but we're not letting anybody else know. So that would be interesting. Missy Lulu says, who has a business administration degree here? I'm now believing if Netflix has a license contract for her as ever products, her trademarks needs to be approved or Netflix could be sued. I think she owns everything. Netflix sure is her partner, but I really think the accurate term is they invested. So I think Netflix doesn't have maybe a stake in her company. What they have is a perpetual or a agreement where they get a certain royalty off whatever she sells for a certain period of time until they recoup costs or something like that. That's what I think is going on there. No, Nanette, who gave a super chat, says, I'd love to see a video of your mom blind testing Megan's products. Yeah, I would like totally like get my mom, some friends or whatever there to like actually test the products because that would actually be helpful. That would actually be helpful because I'm like I think I would be too close to it. Although my mom's not a fan of Megan either, so I think it would be hard, but like maybe I'd have her blind test my strawberry jam and whatever Megan comes up with and goes, which one's better? Creative Chaosify says Megan is so afraid of failure. She never puts out any products. I don't think she'll ever get anything out as ever. And that is true. That is true. That is true. That she's too, again, we guys see it with how she doesn't put any investment behind stuff. She's too nervous to actually really put herself out there. Hudson Saint and Co says, question, what do you think of her brand meetings are like? Not very productive. Going, I want to do this. And she has people who just nod and tell her how wonderful and great she is. You don't need those people. You need people who push back a little bit. You can't have people who are totally antagonistic, but you have to have decent advice. And she's definitely not getting decent advice or doesn't want it. Kim Marie says she has the same lawyers forever. They must not care that she doesn't listen to them, but will gladly take her money. Exactly. And I would always be worried about a lawyer who's willing to take my money and not actually help me. That's not good. Sheila says you could ask Megan yes or no question. There's no way she could give all of us a straight answer. We're going to get a story totally off topic to the original question. Exactly. Oh, Missy Lulu says, Real Housewives of New York fans. You remember Sonia Morgan's toaster oven that never happened? And all we heard for 2 seasons was about her lifestyle brand that never happened either. That's really sad. Hudson says, will you build the Marie Antoinette relics? I would love to. I'd love to. So Clifford says she made a fatal mistake from the start, lying about the BRF and UK citizens. She saw the lies likes of Oprah Winfrey, Gayle King, SWAC, and wanted to be like them. She exaggerated everything, and Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King advised her. Yeah, she exaggerated everything and never worked. All right, we got the Canadian Beaver. Again, thank you so much for the super chat. Netflix has a store in at least 2 places in the US. Meg will have nothing more than a shelf next to Stranger Things. Yeah, and Stranger Things will sell. Guys, I would go in there and buy something from a show I like, not Megan. Like, honestly, I would like to go. So here's the thing about like merchandise and stuff. I strongly believe sometimes that if you really, really love something and you want to show your support, especially because Netflix shows are they're not always so good about keeping with them because they either cost too much, take too long to produce, or what have you. Is the way you can do that is buy merchandise. That tells Netflix that you like this show and you want it to continue because you're willing to buy merchandise. And merchandise is really the way they can make money. So I think that's really important. Sheila says, do you think there will come a time when she comes completely unhinged and turns to Britney Spears now? No, she's Britney Spears has obvious some mental health issues. So that's kind of I think where that goes. All right. So we have Lorny Life says, I like watching your videos the best because they are balanced and reasoned opinions. I believe some people are just on the hate Meghan and Harry bandwagon. I feel you do the research. Why, thank you. Yes. And, I see others and I do somewhat agree with that, but, to each their own. But yeah, there's definitely my issue is that I see some people jump on the Harry and Meghan hate wagon and they don't really know the background behind royalty and how Harry and Meghan are undermining the rest of the royals. They just not understanding enough of how things work, I think does mean sometimes you say things that you don't maybe fully understand. That's just my thought. Kathy Newton says, are you aware that there is an As Ever photography company in Arizona? They trademarked their name in 2013. They are aware of Meghan's name of her business. Yes. And they said not affiliated with Meghan Markle because they don't want to be affiliated with Meghan Markle. Rebecca Foster says, good morning, everyone from Minneapolis. Meghan and Harry seem to be shady business people. Wouldn't want to investing involved in either of them. That's the thing too, guys, is that seeing Harry and Meghan's in the Disasters, who wants to invest with them? They'll need investors at some point. Who wants to invest in this train wreck? You would never see your money. And that's a dangerous thing. Ritz says, I love my flamboyant Queen Maxima. Her hair needs a refresh. I can relate. I have thin hair too. Love her. Yeah, she looks great when she does gala and they like do additional hair pieces, or she wears a hat or something. Doesn't always look good in other events, but I do feel like she's sort of understands what it means to be royal. I've heard she's, maybe a little bit stuck up. I've never experienced that, but I could definitely see that. But, I always believe in, like, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And it's good to see people's faults because you can both love people and understand that they're not perfect. That's totally fine. Meghan and Harry fans apparently don't get that, or at least the Meghan fans. Because let's be honest, guys, they are Meghan fans. They are fans of Harry as a byproduct of Meghan. Once they divorce, they will all turn on him 150%. All right. Deborah says you have a long way to go to catch up with my old age. Joe Anger Brad says, Brittany, I feel old too. This is my 66th birthday today. Again, happy birthday. Presley says, hi from Florida. Could all these businesses, charities be tax shelters or laundry laundering? I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about it, guys, to be quite honest. I don't know. Presley says she has the access to the best PR, marketing, etc. Maybe she's too narcissistic to take the advice. That's the only thing I can see. Because honestly, guys, these are all avoidable mistakes. I 100% believe that. Kathleen says, I thought she had another podcast and a new publicity company they were working with. What happened to those two deals? I have no idea. I don't know what's going on with Lemonada. I heard they pushed back her podcast too because of the show. And she's doing Archetypes again. And I was like, Archetypes failed. It was canceled for a reason. A good reason. It wasn't good. It was boring. Oh my gosh. SEJ says, that's funny, Brittany. I used to say seeing the Titanic in theaters in 5th grade as a marker for my time on Earth. As I think about the age I was. So you and I, SEJ, are probably about the same age. Clear Light says Netflix is losing money and no one will watch your rubbish. Yep. Or maybe I was like 4th grade or something. I can't quite remember. Marjorie says Netflix have deducted all the costs out of the contract payment Harry and Meghan did not receive. The $100 million they first said, they got a lot less and have a poor return. Exactly. Because some of that was wrapped up in success in terms of having successful products, basically. Kimberly says, I actually enjoy Brittany and what she's got to say. Why, thank you. Darlene says, where's Pippa? She's downstairs. Hopefully not coming up here because we've had number 2 issues this morning. And I don't want to clean that up off the carpet. Thank goodness she decides the best place to do her worst business is on a bath mat I could put in the washing machine. So Margaret Morris says, I think that comment was from a Sussex Squad member. Brittany, you are great and one of the best royal watchers on YouTube. Oh, I missed it. That's fine though. That's fine. Okay. Carte Blanche says, do you guys think there will be an as ever dish soap? That would be full circle. Yes. Oh, and I need to do a bingo card. And I realized, guys, I sort of fell off on the bingo card of the Invictus, but I'm pretty sure I hit bingo. When it comes to my bingo Invictus card. So guys, I fully anticipate that she will repeat the dish soap commercial because apparently she can't live without that. And I don't understand. Like, it's such an obvious made up story by her dad. So obviously made up. All right, we got Laura. Good morning, Brittany. What do you think is an appropriate name for a brand should be? I suggested at the very beginning, and I did a research and I found a name that I thought was unique and interesting enough for her to do. And it was like a wildflower in that area of California because her nickname as a child was Flower. And she could create the brand after the flower and everything. And I think it started with a B. And it was unique enough and interesting enough where it sort of kind of worked. And yeah, that would have been my suggestion. Go with something nobody else has. Because again, you don't want this confusion. This is unnecessary confusion. Nobody's confused about Royal News Network because I'm the only one who has ever really used that name as far as I'm aware. I think there's some place in like India or Pakistan that sort of has that name. But yeah. Lo Lala says, has as ever a small business, can they afford to sue Meghan? Well, they might have people who are willing to actually just do pro bono, or they might have deeper pockets than you might think. Ann says, what happened to With and Beloved Meghan? Is that gone too? No, that's still the name of her show. Again, confusing. Unnecessary confusion. Seba says, Netflix partner to recoup their losses. Yeah, I imagine, guys, my thought would be, if I was Netflix, I would not be actual partner in the brand because she's a hot mess and they know it. But I would demand a royalty for every single product she ever sells in perpetuity for the investment that they gave her to produce the products. That would be my suggestion. Gretchen the First says, I don't see how they could ditch with the Meghan title. It's gotten too much attention. Yeah, like they're stuck with it again, which is stupid. Why is your brand not like? Why wasn't her show as ever Meghan? I get it. Maybe she wanted to hide the new brand name, but that's stupid. It's just stupid. Margarita says, do you think that she would dare to put some footage of disaster tourism and passing it on the show? She can't be so stupid. How's the? Oh, she's 100% going to do that. She's 100% going to do that. Uh, CDE says, I heard someone on Kinsey's channel say Meghan wants fame and Harry wants privacy, and that's why they're so scattered. So I want to totally agree with that because I think Harry's thing is he wants the royal life and he wants a level of privacy, but he also wants the attention. He enjoys the attention too. So that's, I don't think the full case there. Bertasso says people can dress how they want regardless of age. I think situation appropriateness and respect for others with how I dress is what ultimately matters. Yes, very, very true. Yes. Marjorie says bingo card, please. Yeah, this one won't be quite so last minute. But yeah, we will do another bingo card. Shaz says 32 years ago she did the dish soap thing. It's old, Meghan, enough already. Exactly. And the story is like a story you would tell a child. And that she still repeats it is bizarre to me. It's bizarre to me. So, yeah. So, Hudson St. Co says, did you see the Marquise Marchionnet new tea set for her purchase? It's beautiful. How long before Meghan copies? Yeah, she'll probably copy. She'll probably have her own tea set. It'll be a mess, guys. We shall see where this goes. Oh, and Canadian Beaver gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. Why? Thank you so much, Canadian Beaver. That feels like a great way to sort of kind of end off here. And Mrs. Allen says, Allen says, I feel like disaster tourists just watching Harry and Meghan do their thing. I agree with that too. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Canadian Beaver, for the new Royal News Network memberships, guys. But we will go ahead and wrap it up because we've been going for 2 hours. But I'm so glad you guys were able to tune in. And there's a new feature that I just got to figure out here, and I'll let you guys know about. And DS says, what's the bingo card? So the bingo card is I create little things that people can like do X and play bingo as Harry and Meghan do an event. I did it way back in like 2022. And it was when they were actually going back to the UK. I thought it was for like their New York trip. No, it was going back to the UK right as the Queen died. And so it'll just be like Meghan shares her dish soap story. She looks fake. She, says something that's not true. People tell how much they love Meghan. Like I'll come up with a bunch of different things. I'll probably reach out to you guys too and see if you guys had thoughts because I definitely won't probably have everything. So guys, I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Have a wonderful day. And we shall see the latest antics of Harry and Meghan over these next couple of weeks. Because guys, it's going to get crazy in the lead up to our show. So thank you so much for watching. And I shall speak to you again very soon. Bye.